And we're back with a brand new episode of Walkin Talkin with Tim. As you can see, well, first things first, before I introduce my guest. New swag, it's going very well. Pretty cool, right? So Jeff Sanders,
hello everyone,
is the Chief Development Officer at St. John of God Community Services. So I'm gonna flip it over to Jeff real quick so he can explain exactly what we do over at St. John of God Community Services.
So, first off, thank you for this invitation. I feel like I'm in a very special company. I think you said earlier I'm probably number 44 in your interview. So that's fantastic. It was my kid's football number, so it's all good. So St. John of God Community Services, they're in Westville. It's been there since the mid-'60s. So we work with individuals with disabilities, from children, really from infants, newborns, through adults, with a range of disabilities. A lot of our folks have Down syndrome and other conditions. So we are a faith-based organization that does early intervention, where we work with families who have a child from birth through 3 years of age that may be showing some kind of signs of developmental delay. So we have nurse practitioners and therapists that go into the homes and work with them. We have an adult sheltered workshop called the Fulfillment Center, where our clients are engaged in various jobs. We'll get to the Holy Grounds thing that we created. That's the Fulfillment Center. We also have House of John, which is, in clinical terms, it's a day habilitation program. It's for folks that, maybe advanced years or have more severe conditions. So we'll do different events. There'll be, trips out in the community, arts and crafts. There's the garden they take care of in Glassboro. But my role is to go out and tell that story about what a great organization it is. I hear so often people are like, well, hey, I know about you guys. What do you actually do? I was kind of that way before I started. And my goal is sort of a natural born cheerleaders to go out every day, tell that story, and, bring people in, and so they can learn more about it. So that, in a nutshell, a very large nutshell, Tim, that's what I do. And
they've got Holy Grounds.
So Holy Grounds, and we'll do a quick, in motion. This was our shirt we did a couple months ago. So
nice
during COVID, we realized that in our fulfillment center, we wanted to have the ability to kind of create our own jobs for our clients to work on. So our risk management director, Jason, among all his other titles, he's a big coffee guy. And the story is he was sitting home one weekend, he was drinking a cup of coffee and said, boy, if there was only something I could think of to come up with. And all of a sudden he looks at the coffee cup. So he started doing his research, and we went and bought a electric roaster, which is in our kitchen area there. It's about the size of a large commercial refrigerator. And we got on board. So we have our clients certified as roasters. We do the roasting, the packaging, the labeling. It's been phenomenal. We're getting ready next week to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. And again, it's given our clients the ability to contribute, to drive home that point that everybody has a contribution to make, no matter what your limitations may be. And I tell everybody that aside from the great backstory, it's a really good cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And you're giving people that really are probably craving purpose, a wonderful purpose, and it's a lot of fun. I've been there to witness it with you. I took a tour, and everybody there is so great. People that work there, the people that are the clients that are working on all the projects. I mean, you guys are working with Scrub Daddy and
Scrub Daddy's a client.
76ers.
Yep, we do the shirts. We everybody on board, everybody on staff got all the shirts rolled up so they can fit inside of a piece of plexiglass for the t-shirt cannon during the playoffs.
Awesome.
Yeah, phenomenal. So we're always looking for other area businesses and employers. We have a state-of-the-art document shredding facility. We can do document imaging, just about anything that we can break down into piecework for our clients. So we welcome those opportunities for sure.
Giddy up. And you also, on a personal note, you have your own thing called PopStream.
Yeah, so PopStream was a nonprofit I started about 12 years ago. My father and I were always close growing up. I never really went through that sort of teenage rebellion with the old man. With the mom I did. We butted heads because we were so much alike. But my father was into old balloon tire bicycles after he retired. And hey, retired, that's almost fun in itself. So yeah, I can do that without even thinking about these things.
Very loquacious.
Yes, so he started restoring these bikes, and along the way, where we lived in Washington Township, there were still a lot of farms, and he would get junk bikes and kind of fix them up and put them out front. And folks that worked at the farms during the summer would buy these bikes, and I kind of financed his hobby. But he started with some of these bikes. He was friends with guys that maybe he would hear that somebody's family was going through tough times, or maybe there was a neighbor that, you know, the father was out of work, whatever the case may be. My father, who was a master mechanic, would turn around and fix a couple of bikes up, put a nice little red bow on it, and at Christmas would leave it anonymously at the person's house. So as I got married and had kids, he was pop to my kids, and we were close, so I wanted to do something to honor his memory. So Pop's Dream seemed to be a natural for that. So what we do, I buy new bicycles, and about the second year in, I started buying grocery gift cards. So to date, we've done about 900 new bicycles and about 15,000 in grocery gift cards. And I find out families,
a lot of money.
Yeah, families that are in need in the area. It started off small,
You'd be surprised how many families are in need.
Tremendous. But I started off doing it with the Breakfast with Santa that Les Vale did with the Chamber, and branched out, and now I do events in Camden, Cumberland, Salem County. So it's been very satisfying, a lot of fun.
So speaking of family, you've got 2 brothers, right?
2 older brothers, my older brother Mark and my next older brother Grant. And I'm the baby of the family, so still, even at this late stage of the game, I find myself very often if something, I can't quite do it, I just sort of throw up my arms and wait for somebody to come and do it for me, which, God bless my wife, she's the oldest of her family, so we balance each other out really well.
So we'll get right to that. So Althea, your wife, you told me that you met at the Deptford Mall.
Yeah, and so I have to compliment you on the pronunciation of Althea, because my old man could never quite get it. So when we first started dating, she was Ophelia or Ophelia. I said, Dad, it's easy. Act like you're saying goodbye to somebody with a lisp, like Althea later. And he's like, hey, that makes sense. And he never screwed it up. Well,
I was a Grateful Dead fan, so
exactly.
It's kind of in there for me. So, so your wife Althea, you met at the Deptford Mall.
Yep.
Well, actually, you didn't meet her at the Deptford Mall. You told me you worked at the Deptford Mall, and somehow you met her for somebody at the mall. But you worked at the Dickens Den.
Yep, Dickens
Den.
So
we were kind of reminiscing about the Deptford Mall. Anybody who's known the Deptford Mall as long as we have, right? You remember, what was it, Deptford Tavern?
Deptford
We were talking about all the old places in the mall. My goodness, there were so many cool places that we used to go to. Wall-to-Wall Sound and Video, Sam Goody, all the great stores.
And we couldn't remember the name, the German place right by the winemaker. In its latter stages, it was called Spice Meister, but it was called something else.
Yes.
And it was either Mr. Dunderbox or something, but you would go there and they'd have the sausages and cheese hanging.
My wife's friend used to work there, and she'll know. Deb will know.
Yeah,
Deb,
that was.
You have to write that in the comments.
That was for all the young folks in the audience. That was before the food court. You had certain places you actually had to walk all the way for food.
Yes, in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, it's where the girl worked and the kid worked at the movie theater. So anyway, so moving on. So you've got 3 kids. I think I got this right. It's Julia, Allison, and Josh.
Yep, exactly.
Now Julia, I believe, is a nurse.
She is. She went to Widener, and she works at Christiana Care in Delaware and loves it. She was the one that, as a kid, when there'd be the gory medical shows on, I couldn't get out of the room fast enough, and she'd be like, "Oh, Daddy, check this out." So I don't get it, but she loves it.
Allison is social media marketing.
Yep, she's living in Hoboken. She went to the University of Delaware, and she, I should know this name of the new company, but she's very dynamic. She's into it.
She's the you.
And let me tell you something. She's pretty phenomenal.
And there's Josh, who is GCIT, and he's a mechanic at Holman.
Yep. So Josh is.
And there's something special about that, right?
So Josh is living the dream. So he was before he was probably toddling. I had a Hot Wheel or a Matchbox in his hand. So he was always around cars. So it was kind of no surprise that he'd want to go into the field. But he literally came to us in 8th grade and said, I heard about GCIT and I want to go and shadow. He went, shadowed for the day for the auto mechanic program, fell in love with it, got accepted. He went through the program. Holman Group, who has Ford, BMW, countless, and Mindy Holman, who's a phenomenal philanthropic person, they have this internship program. He was the first kid accepted from GCIT in their program. He shadowed a few different dealerships. It got shut down during COVID.
Right.
He wound up, the last one he did was BMW. That was his dream, that they would get an opportunity there. They offered him a job. He'll be 20 next month. Every day he goes to work. He's sending me texts of what I'm working on doing this. He's at 20. He's far more squared away than I was, certainly at 20 and maybe at 30.
Me too. Trust me. So you did tell me something special about how you got into being involved with nonprofits. with regards to Boys and Girls Club and now Sunshine God. So
yeah, so
I
was on the road as a career sales guy. At the time, I was in the IT industry, sort of like you are.
And we were both draw against commission guys, so that's a sales job, yo.
Yeah, we learned it. If you need any recipes for government cheese and peanut butter, I'm your guy. So I was covering 3 states, and my kids were young, and the last thing I wanted to do was get involved in nonprofits. And I literally ran into a high school friend of mine in the Wawa one day, and he said, I was on council, I should add, in Pitman on Borough Council at the time. And I run into him, and he said, I'm trying to get a Boys and Girls Club a chapter opened up in Woodbury. And he said, you always talk really fancy. He said, why don't you come out to a meeting and see if you can persuade some people? So
is that loquacious again?
Yeah, so reluctantly I went to the meeting, and I guess I spoke real fancy because I managed to persuade a couple folks, and they kind of roped me into it. And I'll tell you, it was literally that sort of aha moment where I recognized that right here in our sort of community, I mean, not only Pitman and Winona, but the county at large, there's tremendous need, and it's right around us. And through the Boys and Girls Club and what their mission is, I just embraced it, and I fell in love with it.
The 3 T's.
3 T's. So one of the board members, they got close with early on. He said, Jeff, he said, there are 3 T's that everybody has, usually at least one of them: time, talent, or treasure. And in the nonprofit world, you need people that, again, have the time, have that talent, and certainly the treasure. If you don't have it, which I didn't at the time, but I knew a lot of people that had a lot of money, that I just, went out and told, hey, this is such a great thing, you need to be involved in it. And quite honestly, it changed the direction of my life. I wound up getting involved.
That's your why.
Yeah. I mean,
that's literally your why.
Yeah.
Period.
I went from being a board member at Boys and Girls Club to being their first development director for a short time. Moved on to Habitat for Humanity in Cumberland County, and then had this opportunity through divine intervention, led me into St. John of God Community Services. And it sounds cliche, it almost sounds corny, but I honestly feel that everything I've done in my life, personally and professionally, has led me to this role. Right. And I'm tickled to death to go to work every day. I work with a group of really dynamic people. We're getting things done, and it's exciting, and it's so fulfilling to be able to, take what I've acquired and use it to help individuals who need the hand. So I love it, and I'm blessed.
So, favorite rock band?
That's a tough one. So, I've always been
favorite band, favorite whatever band.
Yeah, it would have to go Beatles for sure.
Beatles.
Yeah, I'm a Beatles, Beach Boys, Sinatra. My father indoctrinated me in Sinatra when I was about 15 or 16. I fought it and then fell in love with it one day.
Favorite song?
From Sinatra or Beatles or Beach Boys?
Beatles all day long.
That's tough. I'd have to give you top 5. I love Penny Lane. I love Something. I mean, I could go deeper. There's just a million songs.
Yeah.
So this
Julia
might be an indication. So my wife, who was never a huge Beatles fan, I had to sort of school her and get her into that world. She was pregnant with Julia probably 5-6 months in, and I was playing the White Album one night, and the song Julia, I should know which track number, came on, and Althea heard that, and she said, if we have a girl, it's going to be Julia. So Julia is Julia from the Beatles.
Good save, by the way.
Yeah.
So if people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
So just drive by my house and go, hey, Jeff!
He is the unofficial
How can you help me?
He's the unofficial mayor of Pitman because he knows everyone in Pitman.
It's a small town. It's easy to know
We'll just
everybody.
call you Mr. Pitman.
There you go.
Right.
I've been called worse.
So if they want to help out with anything you're doing as far as St. John of God?
Yeah,
or
so our website there, it's www.sjogcs.org. My email is simply J, just the letter J, Sanders, JSANDERS @sjogcs.org. Probably everybody has my cell phone number from me handing out cards through the years. I'm fairly active on Facebook and such, LinkedIn as well. But yeah, I now my paid role with St. John of God's takes up the majority of the time. But I'm involved in so many different things, nonprofits, because it almost becomes addicting, and it's a community where you start to meet people and they're passionate about their thing, and I'm like, how can I know this guy and he'd be good with this. So it's great.
There you go. Well, thanks for being on.
Thank you for the invitation.
This was a lot of fun. It always is. And anybody's got questions for Jeff, drop them in the box or get a hold of me. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out for you. So thanks for watching. Thanks for following. Keep on moving, and we'll see you next time on Walkin' and Talkin' with Tim.
Take care, everybody.